There's a story about two poisonous snakes. One's facing north, the other facing south. One's name is freedom, the other slavery. Both bit the Negro and both bites were bad. The Civil War was over, but our battle had just begun. No sooner had the war ended than the southern states began enacting black codes and penal laws to return freed slaves to the control of their former masters. Mississippi prohibited black men from owning or even renting land. South Carolina and other states were forcing black women to work as hired farmhands or domestics for cruelly low wages or face arrest as vagrants. These employers had the power to starve black people to death. And that, in my mind, was still the power of slavery. So under these conditions, what does freedom mean? I thought about it, and I thought about it some more. And though officially retired, I had to speak my piece. Slavery is not abolished until the black man has the ballot. While the legislature of the South retains the right to pass laws making any discrimination between black and white, slavery still lives there. If the Negro knows enough to fight for his country, he knows enough to vote. If he knows enough to pay taxes, he knows enough to vote. The government thinks it's done enough for slaves by freeing them, but a freed slave is still a slave to society. If a man can't vote or exercise his rights as a citizen, what is the purpose of being free in a democracy? If the black man is to have any hope of surviving, he must be given the ballot now. As I traveled the country agitating for the vote, opposition came from a very curious place. There's a letter I received from Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and I quote, "Dear Mr. Douglas, the representative women of this nation have done their utmost for the last 30 years to secure freedom for the Negro. Now that this has been achieved, what about women's rights? The old anti-slavery school says that women must stand back until the rights of Negroes are recognized. But on this question of suffrage, I say if you will not give the whole load to the entire people, then give it to the most intelligent first. Women." But I could not agree, and I told her so. I explained that the cause of Negro suffrage was more urgent to me because Negroes were being lynched, shot, castrated, and burned at the stake. See, we needed to vote for our protection. When women, because they are women, are dragged from their homes and hung upon lampposts, and their children are snatched from their arms, then only then will they develop the urgency to obtain the ballot ahead of the black man. We battled this issue in public and in private. And this battle was especially painful to me because it put me at odds with women whom I respected and admired. Women such as Harriet Beecher Stowe, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Susan B. Anthony. But I could not and would not be stopped. There was too much at stake for the black man at this juncture. And finally, it came to pass. The 14th Amendment. I quote, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction equal protection of the laws." Ratified July 28, 1868. The 15th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Ratified March 30th, 1870. So the battle on paper, at least, was won. But how expensive was the cost? I wondered if I could now reach out the arm of friendship and be thus embraced by those who, through necessities of their own, have been made opponents to our cause. I'm happy to say that I could. And once again, I was invited to the platforms where women's rights were being championed. Man, in his arrogance, has felt himself fully equal to the work of governing without the help of women. He has kept the reins of power securely in his own hands, and the history of nations and the present experience of the world show the woeful work he has made of governing. The slaveholders used to represent the slaves. The rich landowners in other countries represent the poor. And men in this country claim to represent women. But the true doctrine of American liberty, plainly, is that each class and each individual within a class should be allowed to represent themselves. The right of the woman to vote is sacred in my judgment. And if ever called upon to give my assent in any official capacity, I shall raise both my hands in favor. And this is a right that should be given as quickly as possible. Slavery of one kind is ended, but another continues so long as women are refused the right to vote. They too are enslaved. Therefore, I urge you to petition your congressmen and representatives about this important subject. For the sooner we are allowed, the women are allowed to vote, the sooner America will truly be the land of the free. But are we free, I wonder? Will we ever be truly free? Or is freedom an abstraction that can never be made into a practical reality? I sometimes think I know, but often I am baffled. Yet of this I am sure: freedom, whether an abstraction or fact, is something worth fighting for. So the battle continues.